Do you ever feel like you are making good money, you're working, you're paying your bills, paying off debt, but you just feel like you don't have anything to show for what you're doing? Well, let's shift that. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the mindset that you need to shift that thought process so that you can get on a path towards building wealth and what it's going to take to ensure your success. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Trishika Ma'at. I'm a financial coach and the founder of John My Wealth Financial. I help you keep more cash in your pocket so you can position it to wealth and create a life of freedom and ease. So as I've shared on this journey, the catalyst behind deciding to shift from this working to pay off debt cycle was shifting my mindset. For a long time, I believed all I needed to do was follow the guru, make sure I had my little $1,000 saved up, make sure I'm focused on knocking out all this debt, following the baby steps. And I did that for a long time. Let me tell you, I know how to pay off debt, but I always found myself back into debt. And it was one of the most frustrating things because I'm making six figures. I should be able to pay my bills and not be in this cycle of debt. And for me, it was about the way that I was thinking about financial freedom. I believed that financial freedom required me to pay off all my debt and I'd be financially free. Well, that thinking is skewed because there's another part, your assets minus your liabilities. Yes, paying off six figures of debt would have helped tremendously in eliminating my liabilities, but if I was not building up those assets, then I was essentially building my net worth to zero. That equation works best when your assets are growing and your liabilities are decreasing. And then the end input is a positive number. Once I got tired of working just to put all my money towards debt, I literally remember being like, there has to be a better way, not having to be where I'm just making all this money and just throwing in that debt, trying to knock it out. And I had to shift my mind. There were three things I did to shift my trajectory to move towards a path of building wealth. The first shift that I had to do was understand that building wealth required me to shift my mindset towards a vision of abundance and growth. It wasn't all about, let me just throw all this money at this debt and so I can get this down. I was focusing on how can I create more abundance? How can I use what I already have and build up so it can continue working for me? I had to shift my mind from let's just pay down this debt to let's build and grow and see this money. I essentially wanted to see my net worth rising over time. So that was the metric I shifted my mind to focus on. Yes, we'll reduce the debt, but the tool I was using was let's focus on net worth. Step number 2 was understanding delayed gratification. I also had to come to terms with myself of why was I in this debt? This debt didn't happen overnight. I needed to understand what I was doing that built up this debt. And when I dug deep, it was part of that quick win of like, ooh, let me go buy these shoes and the shopping and I'll pay it off later. I am a recovering shopaholic. I used to get excited about shopping and swiping my card. I probably had every bank or store card, Express, Old Navy, New York and Company, Macy's, you name it, I probably had it. Unfortunately, I would spend a lot of time just like, okay, I'm gonna buy this, especially when they had their sales, and I was swiping with the idea that, oh, I'll pay it back, I'll pay that down. But I was in this instant gratification mindset of like, I want it now, so I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna swipe the card. And I really had to train myself to think differently. It was no more, let's get it right now. If the vision is you wanna build this $1 million net worth, and right now you're working toward building this first six figures, what do I need to do differently to ensure I am not sabotaging this journey? And part of that was cutting up the credit cards and not spending on them because I wanted to make sure that the money I was using was paying down the debt that I had, but also going towards building up my portfolio. I had to look at what was important for me, what was it that I can do right now, and delaying the things that it was nice, but it wasn't helping me on the journey. Step 3 was to define wealth for myself. Again, all of this is about a mindset, but defining wealth for myself looked like me really having a clear picture. Wealth wasn't about me having all of the materialistic assets of the big house and a nice car, what people usually associate with wealth, right? Yes, I'm building up my investment portfolio and that is an asset, but it was beyond the 6 figures, beyond the $1 million net worth. I wanted to look at what does building this wealth, what it will actually do for me, what it will actually do for my family, and that was the thing that I focused on. I looked at me building wealth as it giving me more freedom, flexibility, and options. That's a key piece. That freedom is giving you more options to live your life the way you want. That's what it did for me. I wanted to focus on what wealth looks like. When moments come up that may deter me, I started focusing on, if I go this route, is that going to move me closer to this wealth vision or further away? I want to be clear. It is not about, all right, I'm going to sacrifice everything just to invest. Yes, I did for a period of time at the beginning of my journey, was focused on, all right, I want to get FIRE. I want to save 50% of my income and we're not going to eat out. We're not going to do all these things so that we can reach this milestone and goal. It was exhausting. It was exhausting for my family. It was exhausting for me, feeling like I was constantly pulling on like, okay, we got to do this so that we can get to this magical number. But once I really thought, how can I define what wealth looks like for me? How can I define it for my family of 6 so that we can still live life now? And that's something you're gonna have to look at. What does wealth look like for you? When you envision your life for investing in financial freedom, what does that look like? Because once you get clear on that, that will help guide your path. And the other things that I want you to understand on this journey too is that investing in the stock market is not going to be this straight linear, we're building up over time. You actually have to have the mindset of a wealth builder and understand that the market is going to fluctuate. Expect that it's going to be a roller coaster. This is why we invest for the long term, because we're allowing our money to compound and make more money for us. When you're investing in the short term, put your blinders on. It doesn't matter, right? Especially if you have 20, 30 years out before you're actually going to need that money, put the blinders on. Don't focus on the short-term noise. Focus on that long term. When in doubt, zoom out. Zoom out of that S&P 500 and see what it does over time. Like this little short snippet here may have been a dip, but when you zoom out, you see the upward trend of the S&P 500. Understand it is going to require some emotional discipline, right? As I've shared before, one of the reasons why I panic sold my Apple stocks and Google stocks when I was first starting to invest was because I did not have that emotional discipline. I did not have the understanding that the stock market would fluctuate. So building up that understanding, building up that knowledge, building up the mental and emotional discipline to know that, okay, yes, this is happening temporarily, but you're going to stay in the market because you know you have a longer time horizon, right? So the 3 things you want to look at: being mindful of what's going on, having that discipline, and looking at the long-term horizon. So what does this mean for you? Shifting your focus so that you are focusing on building wealth. Adopting that long-term mentality of building this wealth over time. And then number 3, embracing the journey, because investing is not a get-rich-quick. It is through steady habits of you putting aside small contributions over time. Now you understand why mindset matters. A clear mind keeps you focused on things that matter, like tracking your net worth, building those habits, focusing on the end goal and the benefits of what your daily habits now is going to help you work towards. So drop in the comments, which habits and mindsets do you need to focus on to stay focused on this wealth building journey? Until my next video, here's to your